Well, after what's felt like absolutely ages, I'm finally back out in the mountains. You find me today in the Spey Valley. Join us for a little overnight camp. They say time is a thief, but here in Speyside time is a craftsman. It takes a decade for the oak to breathe life into the spirit, and it takes a lifetime to master the alchemy of the grain. Whether you're chasing the summit for a night under the stars, or building something new from the ground up, the cost is always the same. Patience, dedication, the quiet refusal to settle. Because the things that last are never made in a hurry. Welcome to what I hope will be an unforgettable journey. So, welcome back to the channel. It seems like it's been ages. I'm finally back out and getting out for an overnight camp, this time 3 hours from home. Yep, I've driven from Falkirk up into the Moray area of Scotland to bag off a Corbett, but also get a winter camp in with a slight twist. It's going to be a cold one, it's going to be a wintry one. There is snow on the hills just ahead of me here. But yeah, join us for this first camp of 2026. So as I say, we left Falkirk this morning about just before 10 o'clock, and that got us up to where we parked, just at the bottom of this wee Corbett, at about 1. And of course, once you cut off Aviemore and start heading along the River Spey, you start hitting distillery after distillery. Speyside malts are renowned across the world. From those copper stills that has made Scotland famous for Scots whisky. You pass multiple of them on the way along to get to this Corbett if you're coming from Aviemore. Now, why am I mentioning copper stills? Well, to make a copper still is really skilled work. In fact, they say that every dent, every knobble in the metal helps to give the whisky a very distinct taste. In actual fact, the Rosebank distillery in Falkirk, where I live, it had a very strange still. I think it's quite unique in terms of the shape of it, in that the top of it is flat. Now, there's a reason behind that. When the original plans were drawn up for the Rosebank stills, the architect drew them out the same shape as a still should be made, not noting the height of the ceilings. So of course when they went to fit them, they were too tall, so they had to chop the top off. Now, the original stills were stolen back when the distillery fell into disrepair, and only recently have they been reinstated in the currently new Rosebank distillery. And again, true to form, to keep the taste of the whisky right, they've recreated the old Rosebank still with that very iconic flat top tip from the original drawings. It's very skilled work. My son at the minute is training to become he's a welder's apprentice, and one of the things that he's quite interested in doing is copper welding. Metalwork is it's skilled labour. If you can do it, oh my goodness, you can make yourself a fortune. And I'm sure Cameron will go on to do great things with his life with that skill under his belt. Now, I'm mentioning metalwork for a very specific reason. That at the top of this mountain, and some of you might have seen it on Walk Highlands on their Instagram page, something's happened at the top of this to do with metal. And it makes this mountain possibly one of the most unique in Scotland. It's certainly one of the bougiest. Anyway, we're starting to get our views now of the summit. It's not going to take us long to get up here. They reckon about 2 hours. But we are into winter conditions, so again, I've got the big heavy pack on. And yeah, it's no doubt going to get cold tonight because it's going to be very clear skies. But yeah, I'm just glad to be out. So for anyone who's wondering where I've been for the last 2 months, you'll know that I started off the year with very good intentions. I had my camp just before New Year's Day up on the Ochil Hills at the back of Tillicootree. And then very shortly after that, I was out with the fabulous Jim Boardman Outdoors. And then I've gone dark for 2 months. So, to let you all in on what's been happening, very shortly after that camp with Jim, my wife woke up with a very sore back. Now, for the husbands out there, when somebody says to you, my back's sore, we need a new bed, you know what that means. It's not just, we're going to be getting a new bed. So, over the last few weekends, I have been removing carpet. We've had an electrician in to put new lights in the ceiling. I've had curtain poles to fit, I've had walls to decorate, wooden panelling to put up, which I have to say looks very smart for those of you who've got that in your house. What else have I done? Furniture to build, and yeah, just everything that goes around about decorating an entire room from bottom to top. I don't have the energy to be doing these jobs in the evening when I get home from work. So that has been my weekends for the last few months, but we're finally finished, other than the bed, which arrives at the end of this month, and I just needed to get out, blow off some cobwebs and get out into the mountains, and this one has been on my radar for quite some time. So it's a relatively small one, and the height of it, I can't actually remember off the top of my head, but I'll let you know when we get to the top. But yeah, we've got a slight breeze just now, but it's supposed to calm down later as the evening progresses. But the sun's starting to dip down. The car park was starting to empty a little, and we should have a nice quiet night up on this fabulous wee mountain. Well, all I can say is he's a braver man than I. So the mountain we're climbing up today is called Ben Rinnes, and it stands at 840 metres tall. It has those very distinctive tors that you see on the mountains down in England. And yeah, so why am I climbing up here? I saw something on Instagram from, I'm sure it was Walk Highlands, that somebody had done something at the top of this. A local guy who's a friend of the people who look after the path here had been up and down looking after the Trig point. Now, if you know anything about Trig points, they're what the Ordnance Survey put all over the top of loads of mountains in Scotland, and in fact the UK and Ireland, to map out the entire country. They're what we now use a lot of the time for identifying the top of mountains. They're not always the top of mountains, but occasionally they are. And yeah, the one on the top of Ben Rinnes had fallen into disrepair, and a man whose name I forget, but we'll mention him later on, came up and tried to patch it up. He did it numerous times filling in the cracks, just trying to make it look a bit more presentable. And then eventually, after 4 journeys up, repairing this trig point, he plastic coated it to try and protect it from the harsh Scottish weather and winters. Anyway, last year it had a major uplift, which we're going to let you see when we get up to the top of the mountain. Just as we're heading up the path here, the sides are covered in these huge chunks of granite stone that make up the mountain ranges here. And if you go to Aberdeen, you'll see lots of that in the buildings. And just in the middle of the frame now is Ben Rinnes. I say it stands at 840 metres, and there's, well, it looks like somebody standing on the top, or is that the trig point? So yeah, even although the most of the snow has now departed after those very heavy snowstorms we had over December into January and into February also, yeah, it's starting to disappear, although there is some snow sitting on the northern slopes. And later on we get up to the summit, I'll show you across towards the Cairngorm Plateau, up where Cairngorm and Ben Macdui sits at the back of the ski resort there, and they are properly covered in snow, but they're a fair bit higher up than this. But yeah, there's a stiff breeze, but nothing that I think the tent won't be able to cope with. I say I'm out in the North Tent Vern 1. I had considered bringing my Durston, but I wasn't convinced that the weather forecast was going to be right, and yeah, the breeze, it's probably between 5 and 10 miles an hour, which is about right, but you never know on the top of the mountains what kind of speed the wind is going to be blowing. Right, we're going to make a bit more progress. We're about halfway to the top, and we'll let you see more of the views as we get higher up. Well, that's us. We're starting to see a few touches of snow now, and there's just a handful of people up ahead of me. I don't think anyone else will be coming up at this time. It's now just after 4 o'clock, with sunset due to be just before 6. And it takes about 2 hours to get up here without the heavy backpack. It's saying I'll be up here on the top for just after 5 o'clock. So I've got another hour's walking before I get onto the summit of this one. So yeah, we'll crack on a bit further. We're now heading up into dribs and drabs of snow, and we'll see if we can find somewhere to pitch the tent. Yeah, the shadows are getting longer. Right, let's get moving. This is the second mountain biker I've encountered on the route today. So it's also one that's popular with the mountain bikers. The path's really good, to be fair. The friends of Ben Rinnes have certainly done a good job of looking after the path. It's an easy one to get up and down. But this guy's just getting through the technical stuff at the top. And here he comes. He'll be doing a lot faster than I will be tomorrow. Hiya, how you doing? Well, that's us. We're finally reaching the top of Ben Rinnes and those tors that mark the summit top. I'm going to hopefully get myself tucked in at the back of one of these to give me a little bit of shelter from the wind, because it is a wee bit stronger than I was hoping it was going to be. But yeah, there's plenty of flat bits up here, even on this bit here. I can stick a tent and be quite sheltered for the night. Right, I'm going to stop and get some extra layers on, because that wind chill is biting, and yeah, I don't want to get too cold because the sun is going down and there's going to be nothing to warm me up until the morning. Right, pack off and let's get some gloves on. Well, I think we might have missed the sunset. I've got the tent all set up and popped up to show you the whole reason why we came to Ben Rinnes. And there was two young lads enjoying the sunset, and you know that way. As a video blogger, it's not all about me. So I'll let them enjoy that. And yeah, we have missed the sun going down, but the clouds, yeah, are starting to glow pink. I'm going to take you up now and let you see the trig point that originally was looked after for many times by a man called Eric Grant, who came up here and repaired this trig point and eventually plasti dipping it in order to kind of protect it from the weather. I think I mentioned that earlier on. His name was Eric Grant. Friends of Ben Rinnes came up last year and have done something slightly more permanent and a little bit bougie, you might say. Have a look at this. Well, hopefully you can see me. I'm probably just a silhouette, but yeah, those young lads have headed off down the hill and left me to this trig point at the top. Part of the reason why I drove the 3 hours from Falkirk and climbed for 2 and a bit hours to get up here for an overnight camp. I saw this on Walk Highlands probably the middle of last year, that the friends of Ben Rinnes had come up here and had decided to make this one of the fanciest looking trig points, if not the fanciest looking trig point in the whole of the UK. A man called Eric Grant had decided that the trig point up here was looking a bit dilapidated, and he'd come up and repaired it on a few occasions, eventually plasti dipping the whole thing. But then the friends of Ben Rinnes decided, let's do something that little bit better, that little bit fancier, and they've encased the whole thing in stainless steel with a granite topper, granite bottom, and I think you can agree, I don't think there's many trig points that look quite as good as this. Let me give you a 360 of it. I mean, look at that, just shining in the last of the sunlight for today. It just gleams. And with that as the backdrop in the background, our snow-covered mountains over to the Cairngorms. Does it get any better than that? I don't know. I don't know. So here we go, here's the granite topper, and on the top it obviously says the name of the mountain, Ben Rinnes. Unforgettable in every way. Glen Rinnes, obviously down at the back here. Forevermore, that's how you'll stay. Right, time to leave that in the background and get back to the tent, because I am freezing. I don't mind saying that the wind chill up here is kind of cold. The little spot I've got down the back of the tor here is certainly going to make a difference to my sleep tonight, although I don't doubt, because of the size of the car park at the bottom, I'm going to be almost certainly woken up by people coming up to see the sunrise in the morning. So I think I'll probably get up reasonably early and yeah, get everything packed away so that I can just pack up the tent, make my way back down to the car, and then there's just the small thing of driving 3 hours back to Falkirk. But without the effort, you don't get to see these unusual things. Well, I am back in the tent and about to get dinner on. Now, something I've planned on doing for 2026 is to try and change up the food that I eat when I'm out and about in the mountains. I almost exclusively go for the wayfarer meals, but I'm trying to move away from that, because if you know anything about camping or outdoor meals, you can add another couple of pound on just because it's for the outdoors. So I've been into Tesco at Aviemore on the way up here today and picked up something a little bit different. Is it any more difficult to cook? No. I picked up some chicken and chorizo Tesco's tortellini, which will be firing into the jet ball shortly, and cooking that up for my dinner. Now, in the outdoor YouTube community within Scotland, we have a bit of a debate on this next item. Some people like a pork pie. If you watch Moray from Scotland's Mountains, you'll know he is a massive fan of the Scotch egg. And Robin from Walking with Wallace, well, you know he's got wrap o'clock. Wraps. There's nothing on a wrap. I'm going to raise you all 2 gala slices. A pork pie and a Scotch egg wrapped into one. What's not to love? So yeah, that's going to be a wee snack for later on after I've had my dinner and just before I pop off to bed. So there you go. If you're watching, get yourself some gala slices. Alright, time to get this jet boy fired up and get our dinner on for tonight. Yeah, I'll have my dinner and then I'm going to head up onto the Trig point. I'm going to take up my new head torch, which I picked up just after Christmas. This is the Petzl, I think it's the Petzl RL head torch. 1,500 lumens apparently. That doesn't mean to say it's 1,500 times brighter. It just means it's a pretty bright head torch, which, being in the mountains a lot, it's always good to have enough light to be able to see what you're doing should you have to bail off the mountain, which isn't the plan for tonight, but yeah, that's a new wee gadget. And the thing I like about it is you can put it inside this wee bag. How cool is this? The wee storage bag. You put it inside that, there you go, you've got an extra lantern, which is handy because my flex tail has given up the ghost. I had to use a pump sack on my Neo loft, but yeah, my new wee Petzl head torch. Right, let's stop waffling on. Red man waffling. Let's get dinner on and then we'll go for a wander back up to the Trig. Need to leave myself some for a coffee later on. That head torch blinding y'all. Right, it's tortellini time. Well, there we go, that's dinner ready. And we've got, there we go, how does that look? Looks a bit boring, doesn't it? It smells amazing though. I'm going to get this down me, maybe have a gala slice. And then I'll speak to you again a little bit later on. It's time for dinner. Right. Well, that's me. I've had my dinner and I am sitting back in the tent. I've just put on a brew and I don't know if you can see what it says on this mug. RMW, thank you for being part of my story. This was a gift that was given to me by 2 of my pupils who, their dad I know watches the channel with the girls, and thank you again for the mug. It never seems to make it out onto the trips because I make a coffee before I leave the house. I drink it on the way to where I'm going and then the mug inevitably ends up stuck in the car. So I promised them this time I would take the mug out with me and yes, thank you very much for this mug. It was a very thoughtful gift. Just on the topic of thank you for being part of my journey, I need to say a big thank you to you guys. My channel has been steadily creeping up over the last 2 months and I've done absolutely nothing with it. So thank you to everyone who's new to the channel, who's just arrived. I know a lot of my West Highland Way videos are quite popular, and yes, for those of you who are wondering, my mental health reset of being on the West Highland Way at the start of April is happening again this year. So not long to go. I think, what is it? It's less than, well, 4 weeks, and I will be back in Moray, ready to do trip number 5 along the West Highland Way. So yes, as the girl said to me, and I'm saying to you, thank you for being part of my story. I really do appreciate it. We've not got many to go now, and we'll be hitting 2,000 subscribers, which is phenomenal. I'm going to go back to that one person who commented, "Red man waffling." If you're here and you're still enjoying the waffle, thank you. There's plenty more waffle to come. Right, I'm going to enjoy my coffee and then turn in for the night. There's nothing really to see outside. I've taken some cool pictures of the Trig point all lit up, that if you're not following me on Instagram, go across Redman Walking 74 and check that out. In the meantime, night night everyone, and we'll see you in the morning. Well, that's the sun starting to rise behind us here, and we have Peter. I take it you're friends of Ben Rinnes then?
Aye.
Aye. So,
I'm not in the committee, but I'm in the membership.
so Peter is up here this morning, just making sure that this fantastic Trig that we've come to see is staying shiny and gleaming. And I had no idea this happened, so Peter, it's been a pleasure to meet you this morning. So there we go. It's shiny for a reason. There's people come up and keep this magnificent Trig looking at its best all the time. Well, how lucky was that? That man there is called Peter Duggie. I've just had a very lengthy chat with him. Not on camera, he wasn't wanting to really be on camera. And his beautiful dog, Gypsy. Peter was up here this morning just giving it a clean off with Brasso, just keeping it looking good. The plate on the top is the original. And Peter was telling me that it was just through pure chance that he was up here on the same day as Eric Grant, who we spoke about earlier in the vlog. Between him and Eric, they were losing the battle against the elements up on top of Ben Rinnes. And that's how he pronounced it, Rinnes, not Rinnes like I've been saying. And yeah, they tried putting more concrete on it. Peter had drilled into it and put resin through it to try and reinforce the concrete because the top was falling off. And they came to the decision to put this canopy over the top of it, this stainless steel cover. And the local metal workers for Scythes were the ones who created this. And then Peter had spoken to one of the local people that does the gravestones to see if he could get a bit of granite to put on the top. Now, I'm going to take you back in and let you see the inscription that goes round about it and explain where that comes from, because Peter was explaining that was straight from him. So you'll see that it reads, "Unforgettable in every way. Forevermore, that's how you'll stay." Now, where does that come from? Well, that is a Nat King Cole song, Unforgettable. As Peter was saying, this point on top of this mountain, which is the highest point in this kind of area, the 360 views are unforgettable in every way, and forevermore, that's how it'll stay. And yeah, that was what he decided to get put on. And the daughter of the person that made the gravestones, she actually hand engraved that. So I came up to do a wee vlog on the Summit Trig, and we have learned so much more about it thanks to Peter and his beautiful dog Gypsy. Well, I'm going to finish the vlog here. Peter was telling me that on the 18th of April, if you're around this area, Jamie Aarons is going to be up here officially unveiling this. They tried to do it last year, but the weather was too bad. And Jamie, if you don't know Jamie's story, you need to get onto YouTube and have a look at it. Jamie has the record for the fastest round of Munros, but on top of that, she did it without using any motor vehicle. She ran, she cycled, and she paddled over to Mull in order to complete that round of Munros, and she's going to be up here as the special guest unveiling this fabulous trig point. So, if you're around, come and pay that a visit. Right, I think that's the end of the vlog. I don't know how much more I can say about the top of this. Just huge thanks to Eric Grant and Peter Duggie for looking after this fabulous trig point, and I'm sure it'll be around for many more years to come. Right, there may be another adventure before I head off on the West Highland Way, but in the meantime, go and create your own adventures, and we'll see you on the next one.
Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far. Like a song of love that clings to me, how the thought of you does things to me.